start the session. We welcome all the devotees for today's session. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Mataji, probably I think you may have to give me the host access to share the screen.
Sure, Mataji.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Done, Mataji.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Can you see? Yeah. So
Yes, Mataji, can see.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So we are going to discuss today from Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 20, verse 94 to 119. Om Jnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmalitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Madhu Bhisham Sapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapatantikam Mandeham Shri Gurum Shri Utapatakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sagagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dena Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sandubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mugam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langaide Krime Kripata Mahamande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Isham. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Hare Krishna. Mercy behind the enquiries. So here we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very pleased with Sanatana Goswami. So Sanatana Goswami could inquire from the Lord, the questions, and we see how wonderful questions Sanatana Goswami is inquiring from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even to inquire from the Lord or making an inquiry needs some intelligence, spiritual intelligence. And even to ask such questions, one need mercy from the Lord. So that is what is mentioned here. Inquiry is the beginning of knowledge. But to make significant inquiry also needs mercy of the Lord. Whether we want to, even in our own spiritual practices, whether we want to speak or we want to ask a question or we want to reply to a question, everything needs a lot of mercy. Just by our own intelligence, we won't be able to answer, because this is not a material subject. So it needs a lot of, unless mercy is there, we won't be able to do it. But in order to grab that mercy, of course, one has to be very sincere. So we can see here Sanatana Goswami pleased the Lord by his, sincerity, by his sincere devotion. So the Lord is pleased and showered the mercy upon him, and that's why Sanatana Goswami could ask such inquiries, And we see that before this, in the earlier chapters, we saw how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asked questions to Ramananda Roy, and Ramananda Roy was actually holding an important position as a governor in King Prataparudra Maharaj's kingdom. And Mahaprabhu was asking so many questions, and Ramananda Rai would answer, because he bestowed that mercy upon Ramananda Rai, so Ramananda Rai could answer the questions. We see in the Bhagavad Gita also, it is a question and answer format, right? In the sense, Arjuna asked such wonderful inquiries. We call Bhagavad Gita as our holy book, the sacred book. And those wonderful questions of Arjuna and the wonderful answers of Krishna is the, we see the book Bhagavad Gita. So, who has given that intelligence to ask such questions? It is the mercy of the Lord that Arjuna could have posed that question. So, even to ask a question or to reply a question, in the case of Ramananda Rai, he answered the question. Now, Sanatana Goswami, he asked a question. So, whether to ask a question, to answer a question, we need so much mercy. And that mercy comes by pleasing the Lord. And that's a point here mentioned. Without mercy, one cannot speak. One cannot respond. So let's see what are the enquiries of Sanatana Goswami. Very interesting enquiries. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what are the subjects Chaitanya Mahaprabhu covered or instructed Sanatana Goswami? We see that the categories it is mentioned is Krishna's real identity, because it is not so easy to understand Krishna. So unless the Lord reveals himself. So about Lord Krishna's real identity, he also told him about the Lord's conjugal love, the Madhurya Rasa, the topmost elevated mellows of love of Godhead. His personal opulence, the Lord's opulence are unlimited. We try to understand more, it increases more and more, and it keeps increasing. That's a beauty. Unless again the Lord reveals, it's difficult to understand his opulence as well. And the mellows of devotional service, these are also confidential and most elevated signs of devotional service, and the Lord instructed on these subject matters, Sanatana Goswami. So all these truths were explained to Sanatana Goswami by the Lord himself. He did not even hear through any other source, directly from the Lord, just like Arjuna heard directly from Krishna. Similarly, here we see Sanatana Goswami could hear directly from the lotus mouth of the Lord, the most elevated signs of devotional service. Okay. And we are so blessed and fortunate. We could hear that, conversation or those topmost confidential signs of devotional service imparted by Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So we are also very, very blessed. So let's see what are those. So what happened, Sanatana Goswami, how he actually approached the Lord? He approached the Lord by keeping a straw in his mouth and bowing down. He held the lotus feet of the Lord and he spoke very humbly and poses the questions. So even to ask the questions, there is an etiquette. We see Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I think many of us, we have again and again heard, Tad Viddhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshanti Te Jnanam Jnanina Sattvadarshina. How one gains knowledge, one approaches a bona fide teacher to understand, to learn the transcendental knowledge. What is the process? The process is not in the mood of arrogant questions or arrogant inquiries. The mood is rather a very humble approach. And we see here the great acharyas teach by example how one can actually receive this transcendental knowledge. And we can see here, Sanatana Goswami is putting a straw in his mouth. What does it imply? We know that, the straw, generally cows eat the straw, right? Animals. So basically, the understanding is that by putting the straw in the mouth, these great personalities are expressing their humility in the sense that I am lower, even lower than the animal. My dear Lord, your lotus feet are the only shelter. Please instruct us. Please bless us. That's the approach. And we know Sanatana Goswami was not an ordinary personality. In fact, he was the prime minister of in the Nawab Hussain Shah's kingdom. But the mood of approaching, not that one may have a high material qualification or one may come from an aristocratic family, but that doesn't make a difference that when one approaches to learn transcendental knowledge, he should become humble. So we see those days, even someone could be a son of a king. Someone could be a son of a very simple person. But it doesn't matter when they go to a gurukul of the teacher, what they do. They go and, take the humble mood and they wear a simple cloth and then they go and render service. They make inquiry, humble inquiries, and they also render menial service, submissive inquiry and menial service. And that is the way they actually please the teacher. And then the teacher would impart the knowledge. That's the way those days. You see, whether it was Dhritarashtra's son, Duryodhana and all those brothers of Duryodhana, or it could be the Pandavas. When they went to the Gurukul, they went and approached their teachers in a very, very humble mood. And they also did menial service. And we see in Krishna book, when Krishna himself went to Sandipani's Muni, ashram, the school of Sandipani Muni, even though he is Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, but he took up the humble role of going to the forest, collecting the wood, firewood, for, the yajnas for his teacher. So the Lord himself and the great acharyas are teaching us the mood in which one has to, receive this transcendental knowledge. Otherwise, the knowledge won't be transferred. It may be externally someone is teaching. So how do we relate that with our current day scenario? Are we going to the forest? No, it's not the point. The point is all about, doesn't matter whether it is a classroom. Nowadays, all transcendental knowledge are passed on even through online and a lot of technology involved. So that is external. Here we are talking about the principle or the mood in which those knowledge has to be, received. The mood is of being a humble student, and then making that, sincere inquiries, and also taking that humble mood and receive that knowledge. And of course, service. A service is also very important, because by service the knowledge is revealed, devotional service. So all this together, only a person will be able to receive knowledge. See how Sanatana Goswami is, before asking question, what he's speaking. Let us see this. I was born in a low family and my associates are all low class men. I myself am fallen and I'm the lowest of men. Indeed, I have passed my whole life fallen in the well of sinful materialism. I do not know what is beneficial for me or what is detrimental. Nonetheless, in ordinary dealings, people consider me a learned scholar, and I'm also thinking of myself as such. How wonderful is the mood of Sanatana Goswami here. He's truly considering himself very insignificant. Not lip service, but he's truly mentioning himself as considering himself as a very lowly and fallen. And he thinks that, I have been associating with all those people who were killers of animals and who were involved in all kinds of breaking regulatory principles. Those kind of people have been associating. So I have fallen into this well of spiritual materialism. And I don't have any knowledge, because knowledge means one should know what is good and what is bad. So here Sanatana Goswami mentions, I do not know what is beneficial or what is detrimental. That means I do not know how to discriminate properly what is good and bad. I don't have the knowledge. But material people think that I am a very great scholar. And because all the people are telling I am a great scholar, I am also thinking I am a great scholar. That's what happens in this material world. When everyone says or praises and appreciates, then what happens? The conditioned soul thinks, oh, I am like that. Oh, I am great. Oh, I'm a very great singer. I'm a very great speaker. I'm great. I'm this, I'm that. Just by hearing the, appreciation of others. So Sanatana Goswami is telling that I am also thinking I'm a great scholar. And then he says, out of your causeless mercy, you have delivered me from the materialistic path. Now, by the same causeless mercy, you please tell me what my duty is that. Because only by the mercy of Sanatana Goswami that he could escape from those, association which was keeping him in those kind of association. So Sanatana Goswami is saying, my Lord, I don't possess any qualification. It is your causeless. Causeless means what? There is no reason for that cause. Sometimes, someone would have done something wonderful. So for that, the Lord might have reciprocated. But here Sanatana Goswami says, I did not do anything. But whatever mercy you have shown, it is not because I had some devotion or I had some, I did something. No. It is purely you showered, spontaneously out of your causeless mercy. That means there is no cause, there is no reason from my side, but it is just purely your mercy. So with the pure mercy, you made me come out of this path, come out of that material entanglement. But now with that same causeless mercy, you please instruct me. What is my duty? And beautiful enquiries. These enquiries, every individual soul has to make. And these acharyas, the Lord puts them in such a position that through the mouth of the acharyas, he's teaching the whole world. Just like through Arjuna, Krishna taught Bhagavad Gita. It is not just for Arjuna, but through Arjuna, Arjuna as an instrument, Krishna taught this wonderful science for the whole world. Similarly here, Sanatana Goswami, through him, the Lord is teaching us what kind of enquiries one has to make and what is one's duty. So beautiful enquiries. Let us see what is that. Who am I? Why do the threefold miseries always give me trouble? I do not know this. How can I be benefited? Sadhya, what is the goal of life? Sadhana, the process for obtaining it. Being merciful upon me, please explain all these truths. So very, very important inquiries. Who am I? First of all, in this world, we try to understand everything around us. If we take a newspaper, we take a television, radio, whatever it is, we see that what is happening in this country, what is happening in that country, what is happening everywhere. All this news, all this information we get. But what is most important? Yes, we need to know what is happening around us, but it is also very important to know what is happening within us. And who am I? Yes, I like to know who is this person, who is that person, what is happening to the other person. But who am I, first of all? What is my real identity? And also, the threefold miseries are always giving trouble. What are the threefold miseries? We will see that the threefold miseries here are the Adhyatmik, Adibhautik, and Adidaivik. Adibhautik is, Adhyatmik is that our mind and body gives trouble, sometimes fever, cold, different kinds of, inconveniences to the body. And mind also gives trouble. If some near and dear one, something happens, it disturbs us. So body and mind are constantly giving us trouble. And then others are also giving trouble sometime. It could be it could be a relative of our, it could be somebody else, even an animal could cause harm. Somebody else comes and does something for us. So this is Adi Bhautika. Even you see, like we go to, in the summer, in winter in India, always these mosquitoes causing the trouble. Something or other, always causing us trouble, others. And the natural calamities, extreme cold, the extreme weathers. Then we have, different cyclones, earthquakes, all those kind of Adidaivik nature. So constantly one or other, the living entity is bombarded by all these different miseries. So, so this is question, how can I be? So they are constantly troubling me. If I do not know this, why these threefold miseries are, coming to a conditioned soul, why it is affecting me? I should know that. Without that, how will I be benefited? That's Sanatana Goswami's question. He's asking the question on behalf of everyone. And Sadhya, what is the goal of life, by the way? Okay, if I know the goal, I need to know the process by which I attain the goal. So here, please, my dear Lord, kindly explain all this. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that, Krishna has bestowed all the mercy upon you. And he's telling to Sanatana Goswami, for you, the threefold miseries are not causing any, because, he's a liberated soul. A person who is a very elevated soul or a liberated soul, even though he may be in the material world, that means a pure devotee, he's not affected. Whether something coming to cause inconvenience to his body, his mind, or by others, or by natural, he's undisturbed. So Mahaprabhu is telling, you're asking question, but you are, you won't be affected by all this. And then he says that you know everything. How Mahaprabhu says, you really know everything, all these questions, but you are asking because for the benefit of others. Because a sadhu, a saintly person is always concerned about others. Paradukha dukhi. He sees if someone is in a miserable condition, he thinks how I actually can help this person to come out of the misery, how I can make others happy. That is the mood of a sadhu, selfless. So he's telling Sanatana Goswami, you are a sadhu and you want to make all others happy. You want to help everyone. That is the reason you're asking this question. So the Lord is, glorifying Sanatana Goswami. And he says that you have such an eagerness to attain the goal of life. So you are fit to propagate this devotional service to others. So I will now tell you gradually all the truths. That's what Mahaprabhu is saying. How beautiful relationship between the Lord and the pure devotee we can see here. So the first thing Mahaprabhu is talking about is that, he's telling about the jiva and his entanglement in Maya. So jiva means the soul, and how the soul is, kind of entangled in this material world. That is a point here it is mentioned. entanglement of the soul, in this material world. So we see here that the soul's eternal nature is the servant of Krishna, right? And the soul is also the marginal energy of Krishna. It is mentioned here. Why it is marginal energy? Because let's see that point. And Prabhupada is giving an example as well here. That means Tatastha Shakti. That means, say it's like a cat on the wall. Sometimes we jump to the spiritual, we have the spiritual inclinations. Sometimes we are in the material inclinations. So we jump over this side or that side, any side. But because Krishna has given us a free will, the conditioned soul is, can, turn towards this side or turn towards that side. But many times what happens, or most of the times what happens, is that because the conditioned soul is deeply conditioned by what? By the three modes, Sattva gun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Mostly what happens is that the conditioned souls turn towards the material side. That is called Maya, because that is illusion. Because the Jiva, the living entity's original nature is to be spiritual. That's why we call it spirit soul, the part and parcel of Krishna. But what happens, because of the conditioning, it is turning towards the other side. And so in that way, the conditioned soul is completely entangled. We see here, just as the illumination of fire, which is situated in one place, is spread all over, the energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parabrahman, are spread all over this universe. So Lord Krishna has three energetic transformations. It is mentioned here that what are the three Shaktis of the Lord? The three Shaktis are, here we see only the English one. I'll tell the Sanskrit one also. Three potencies or three energies. The spiritual energy, that is called as Chit Shakti. That is called Chit Shakti or Para Shakti. Then we have the second one, which is Jiva Shakti, the living entity potency. It is also, that is called Jiva Shakti. And the third one is the illusory potency, that is Maya Shakti. Spiritual energy, then we have the living entities and the illusory energy. So these three things are there. The Lord is through his energies, through these energies, the Lord is actually managing the entire universe. And in that we see here, the living entity is actually the marginal energy of the Lord, and but the living entity, so it has this free will to jump over this or that side. But most of the side, the living entity falls under the Maya. It gets into the illusory energy of the Lord. So then what happens, we will see the characteristics of the illusory, the Jiva, how it gets entangled. The Jiva has this free will. It can live either in the material or the spiritual world. It is influenced by avidya that covers his constitutional position or spiritual identity and causes him to suffer the threefold miseries. So the Lord is telling that the Jiva has the free will, but at the same time, the Jiva is influenced by avidya, means ignorance. So it forgets its eternal position, that I am servant of Krishna. Rather, I am a master, I can enjoy. So because of that tendency, the living entity is suffering by this threefold miseries, Adhyatmik, Adibhautik, and Adidevik. And exists in various material forms and is proportionately freed in different degrees. The Jiva, it also exploits the resources of this material inferior nature. If you see that how the living entities are exploiting the resources of this material nature, right? How Mother Earth also, we see that now, how, the volcanoes, one of the reasons they say the volcanoes is that in a many, they destroy many hills. We see that now many natural resources are depleted. The human being is depleting all the forest, all the material resources for his own enjoyment. We see that, many kind of artificial comforts, buildings and many things, for the greed of human being. They are exploiting Mother Nature in so many ways. Many forests are destroyed, and many natural resources are kind of exploited for their own, the sense enjoyment. So then what happened? Because someone is it's a cause and effect. Because someone is exploiting Mother Nature, then what happens? We see the result, the consequence. That's why, it's not proper, rain doesn't come, or even if it is there, it is the climatic conditions are all changing, global warming. So many different things are coming up now, we see. The living entities constantly put into trouble. And the living entity also blames, it's so extremely cold, it's extremely hot, why the climate condition is like this, why, and different earthquakes we see happening in different places, so many things. And the living entity is constantly blaming, the Mother Nature. But unfortunately, the living entity is not realizing that he is the cause, because he is exploiting Mother Nature for his own sense enjoyment. He is reaping that result, the effect. So the Lord is telling how the jiva is responsible for his own suffering. Nobody else is the cause. But the jiva always thinks somebody is the cause. Why this person has done it, why this is happening, why that's happening. He always asks this why question, and he thinks that he is okay and somebody is kind of wantingly doing some harm. But actually the Lord says it is out of ignorance the living entity is committing all these blunders, and that is the reason the living entity is going through all troubles. So the Lord is talking about the characteristics of the jiva. So then the main reason, what is that avidya actually? The avidya is that the ignorance is that the living entity is forgetting Krishna, forgetting the Supreme Lord, forgetting his own constitutional position. And that is the reason that the living entity is suffering. The jiva has been attracted by the external feature from time immemorial, therefore may given him all kinds of misery in material existence. Is always attracted by the external feature of, it's attracted by all the sense enjoyment that the world could offer. That is what happens to the jiva. The same jiva, when it is in the womb of a mother, it prays to the Lord, oh my dear Lord, when I come out, I will worship you. But when it comes out, it sees all this, external, whatever, so-called beautiful things. Completely the jiva gets entrapped. And then it forgets the Supreme Lord, the promise it makes to the Lord. The jiva also forgets its eternal position. And then it's completely, affected by all this the miseries, the threefold miseries. That's why you see that Sukadeva Goswami, when he was in the womb of his mother, he did not come out for a very long time, because he was saying that unless, my dear Lord, you promise that I will not be affected by Maya, I don't want to come out, So that's what happens. The living entity generally, when it's in the material world, is completely entrapped by all this external features of Maya, illusory potency of the Lord. And then that is the reason it is suffering. So sometimes the jiva is raised to higher planets and sometimes down to the hellish situation. Its positions like that of a criminal whom a king punishes by submerging him in water and then raising him out again. Sometimes this example is also given, like it's like changing from one station to another, so the choice is there. There is a hell, there is a heaven. Both are there. But how the jiva uses his free will. When the jiva gains that knowledge, remembers the Lord, and then what happens? It takes the path which will help him to achieve the ultimate goal of life. But when the jiva is kindly, fully covered by that illusory potency, then what happens? It goes into a wrong direction and then gets punished. And here the example of a king is punishing a criminal. What he will do? He will put him inside the water for some time and again will take him out. When he's taken out, he feels relieved. Again, he puts him inside and takes him out. Similarly, he's constantly go from higher planets. Even higher planets is also like that. It is just little space. It is like a space between two miseries, happiness in the so-called material happiness. And that's what happens. And the living entity feels that he's really happy. So sometimes it goes to higher planets, sometimes, but those higher planets also, again, he comes back to the lower planet only, because the Lord says, in the Bhagavad Gita, Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna mam upeti tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Doesn't matter, even if it is Brahmaji, down to the lower planet, lower, insignificant living entity, when it, has to go to the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. But when they go even to a higher planet, when the piety is over, and the piety is exhausted, then the living entity falls down again to the Mrityu Loka, which is earth. So whether one does pious activities, or when someone is going to the hell, okay, when he goes to the hell, higher planets or heaven, when the all the rewards, pious, for all the pious credits are utilized fully, then again it falls down to earthly planet. Similarly, hellish condition, the living entity suffers, and again it comes back to the earthly planet. So it doesn't matter whether hellish planet or heavenly planet, it has to come back again to the earthly planet and again continue the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. That's what the point mentioned here. So then, how the bhakti nullifies the bhakti nullifies the misconception and fear, because everyone in the material world are always fearful. And why that fear comes? Here it is mentioned. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.37. Bayam dvitiya biniveshatah syat ishat apetasya viparyayo asmritihi tan maya yato buddha apajetam bhaktyayka yesham guru devatatma. Fear arises from a misconception of being a product of material energy. Such a jiva's conception of life is reversed due to Maya. To nullify this mistake, a wise person worships Krishna as a spiritual master, worshipful deity, and source of life in unalloyed devotional service. So here we see that the fear comes because of the misconception that, the living entity is forgetting that he is actually the servant of the Lord. See here, competitor of Krishna instead of his servant. The living entity thinks, I am the master. Because of that conception, what happens? It is always fearful, because I don't have a master. I think I am the master. And then who will I take shelter of? But the moment the living entity thinks, I am a servant of the Lord, then he can take shelter of the Supreme Lord. For example, when a child is traveling with his parents, the child is not fearful, because he knows, oh, my parents are there, to look after me. So the mood of being a servant always protects. And then what happens because of that, and when, so it's very simple. In order to come out of the fear, one has to take shelter of the Lord. But in order to take shelter of the Lord, who can take shelter of the Lord? Only when someone thinks, I am servant, oh my dear Lord, I need help. But when someone thinks, I don't need help, I am the master, I can control everything, then he cannot take shelter. So, so in order to, overcome this fear, one has to take shelter of the Lord. So bhakti nullifies this misconception, because bhakti yoga, devotion to the Supreme Lord, when we understand our constitutional position and understand the position of Krishna, that is why we see, when we saw what the different subject matter which Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatana Goswami, the very first point we saw Krishna's real identity. Because unless we know the Lord's, who is the Supreme Lord, who am I, and my connection between the Lord, it is very difficult to take shelter. That is why this is very important to understand this science. Then one will be able to overcome the fear. We see the great personalities here. I was remembering Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj was put in a very challenging situation, because Durvasa Muni already, kind of what he did. Durvasa Muni, we know that he's known for his anger. And Durvasa Muni got so angry for Ambarish Maharaj that he broke his fast without his permission. But then what did he do? He was cursing him. And not only cursing him, he created a very terrific form to destroy Ambarish Maharaj. That means it is a threat to his life. But what was the position of Ambarish Maharaj? He was undisturbed completely, because he knows he is an eternal servant of Krishna. And my dear Lord, you are there. When you are there, why there is a fear? So he completely took shelter of the Lord, and the terrific form could not do any harm to Ambarish Maharaj. Whereas it turned around and was, to attack, and it was attacking Durvasa Muni. So we see the pure devotees, how they could actually take shelter of the Lord. We see Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was constantly put into difficulty by his own father. And they are all fearful conditions of life. He was, thrown into a fire. He was, pushed from the hill. He was, the mad elephant was sent to kill him. He was given poison. He was put in a place surrounded by all poisonous serpents. So many things, all fearful situation. But Prahlad Maharaj did not have any fear at all, because he had so much faith in the Supreme Lord. He took complete shelter of the Lord. So we see that all these personalities and all these pastimes in the Bhagavatam and all other scriptures, bona fide scriptures, teach us that taking shelter of the Lord, keeping the faith in the Lord, how one can overcome fear. In a padam padam et vipadam na tesham, every step there is danger. Prahlad Maharaj says that. In our current day life, nothing to talk about, because Kali Yuga is full of, those fearful situation. One of the degraded age, iron age. And we see that every moment is very fearful. And the pandemic taught the whole world powerful lesson, that how, something like that which no one could ever think of has come and shaken the entire world, still shaking. So the thing is that this is the nature of the material world, fearful condition. So how one can become fearless? That's why, the beautiful song, Bhajahure mana shinandanandana abhaya charanara vindare Tulabha Madhava Janama Sange Tara Hoye Baba Sindure Abhaya Charanara Vidya. So Bhajahure Mana Shri Nandana. Oh, my mind, worship Shri Nandana, the son of Nanda Maharaj Krishna. Then you will be freed from all fears, because this lotus feet can bestow fearlessness, Abhaya. And Srila Prabhupada, his parents given him is Abhaya Charan. So, and Srila Prabhupada was fearless, taking shelter of, that's what we say, Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini. And that is it. Having taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, completely, is very dear to the Lord. It's completely fearless. Srila Prabhupada, what he did. All those challenges, he just broke all those challenges and gave Krishna consciousness to all over the world, saved so many suffering conditioned souls. All our acharyas have shown by example, and Srila Prabhupada's, we can see the example. So that's the only way, to get out of this material world. All kinds of problems are there. But if we try to understand our, who we are truly, and who is Krishna and our relationship with Krishna, then we will be able to develop that faith. And then once, when the faith is very strong, the fear becomes they say faith is thick, the fear becomes thin. When the faith is thin, the fear is thick. So that's the way Bhagavatam and all our scriptures are teaching us how we need to, develop that transcendental, important to develop and know the transcendental knowledge of our relationship with the Supreme Lord. Then we can take shelter and we can come out of all these sufferings. So that's the thing for today. Now it's quiz time. I hope everyone is ready. Let us see what are the questions. We will hand over now to Ranjani Mai Prabhu for the questions. Very interesting part about the real Mahaprabhu, whatever philosophy he is giving us, is not some philosophy only for Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami and all those personalities. It is for our own life. We can apply this in our own life. Yes. Okay, Prabhu, thank you very much. Over to Ranjani Mai Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. So yeah, the question 1 starts here, and Mataji will be displaying the questions.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first question is, what is the significance of putting the straw in the mouth? So Mataji was explaining beginning, like, so the Krishna. So the devotees has given answer. So the correct answer is taking humble position. So when like we are putting the straw in the mouth, it's like, we are considering ourselves lower than the grass of the street. So it's like, so the correct answer is taking humble position. And the devotees who have marked the B answers are first Charu Gupta Prabhu, and then Ram Priya Prabhu, and then Sangeeta Mataji. So these are the first devotees who have given the correct answers. Hari Bol. So the question second starts from here, and this time we have added some subjective questions as well. So this is like, what is the meaning of sadhya and sadhana? Please explain in short words. So during the class, Mataji was explaining in very short keywords. So if devotees can answer those. Sadhya and sadhana. So sadhya is good of life. Yeah, so yes, we are waiting for the answers from the devotees. Anyway, the devotees are busy in writing questions, answers. So,
Brilliant.
so I think we have received some answers, but still we are waiting for some more devotees to give the answer. Jai Hari Bol. So most of the devotees have got the correct answer. And yeah, so the goal, the sadhya is the goal, and sadhana the process to achieve it. And the devotees who have given the answer first. So first is Ram Priya Prabhu. And second correct answer is given by Charu Gupta Prabhu. And Bhaskar Prabhu. Okay. Yeah, so third partial is given by Bhaskar Prabhu, but it came again. And then Bhaskar Prabhu and Shruti Mataji both. So the answers was up and down, but yeah. So thank you all the devotees. So the third questions start from here. So Jiva is energy of Krishna. So Mataji is explaining in mid like the characteristics of Jiva. So very quick answer as given by devotees. So I will read out the first three devotees who have given the correct answer. First is Bhaskar Prabhu, and second is Ram Priya Prabhu, and third is Anuradha Mataji. Hari Bol. So now we'll start the question 4 from here. How Jiva position is explained with respect to Swarga, heaven, and Naraka, hell. Please mention the example highlighted during the class. So Mataji has given the example like how it goes up and down, Swarga and Naraka. So one example Mataji was mentioning in the class, like if devotees can just highlight in like 2 to 3 keywords, so that will be. I'll give the hint. So Mataji explaining about the king. King has given, yeah. So we'll wait for some 30 seconds because this is like this not objective question, so everybody will take some time to. Hare Krishna. Sorry, like Virilpur devotees are still writing. I think some will wait for 10 more seconds, else we'll go ahead. Yeah. So I think I'll just read out the devotee's name who has given the first correct answer. So first answer is given by Kartik Prabhu. He mentioned king punishes by dipping and lifting up. Second by Anuradha Mataji, and third is by Shruti Mataji. Hari Bol. So now we'll go for question 5 from here. So the fifth question is, why fear arises in the heart of Jiva? So it's like due to weakness of the heart, misconception about being product of the material energy. Third, misconception of position of Jiva and no connection with Krishna. So Mataji was explaining like when fear arises in the heart and there was steps how to overcome and how the beginning happens. So yeah, so I will read. I think I'll just wait for a second so that the other devotees can give the answer. Yeah, so the correct answer is like misconception about being a product of material energy. Answer B. So the correct answer is given by Kiran Prabhu. Second is Kartik Prabhu. And third is Ram Priya Prabhu. Hari Bol. Thank you so much, devotees, for participating in the answers and attentively. And I'll hand over to Mataji for the announcement. And we'll declare the score after the announcement. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ranjani, my Prabhu. So today we were confusing a little bit, confusing in the sense, make the questions little tougher probably in this, but it's nice. Always it's good when we do a reading or a hearing followed by some reflection, then it helps us to, remember the subject matter better. Without the reflection, then what happens is that we just heard and probably we may just lose out also like that. So a bit of reflection is always nice. So this quiz questions are, in a way, at least even few questions helps us to reflect on the subject what we have heard. So that's why it's very important. It's nice to take part, and we appreciate all the devotees who are sincerely hearing and trying to take part in this. Okay, let's see the announcements. I mean, the wonderful events coming up. So we have, And the next few days are all auspicious days. Especially we see the Ekadasi is coming on 1st February for the fasting till noon for Varagadev. 3 days continuous thing happening. 1st February is Ekadasi, 2nd February is Dwadasi, which is not a normal Dwadasi. It's Varaha Dwadasi. Varahadev. He killed Hiranyaksha, and protected Mother Earth. So he lifted Mother Earth. So it's a very special day, Varaha Dwadasi. And 3rd Feb is Nityananda Trayodasi, appearance of Nityananda Prabhu. And in fact, it is one of the very important days in our Vaishnava calendar. Without the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, how do we get mercy of Lord Chaitanya? So very special, very important day for all of us to take shelter of Nityananda Prabhu, and he can award us the eternal happiness. And the 5th February is Shri Krishna Madhura Utsava. And 5th February is also the appearance of a great Vaishnava Acharya, Srila Narottama Das Thakur. He has sung many, many beautiful songs like Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Daya Karo More, many songs written by Sri Narottama Das Thakur. And so, Nityananda Trayodasi, we can all, we have the festival happening in Soho Temple, lot of service opportunities, which Vivek Prabhu would speak shortly. And wonderful day to take part in various services for Lord Nityananda Prabhu. I think it's on a Thursday, is it? 3rd Feb?
Friday, Mataji.
Friday, sorry. Yeah, sorry, it's a Friday. So after work, also devotees can go, or somebody can go early, they can go. And I will now hand over to Vivek Prabhu so he can say the different services happening on the Nityananda Trayodasi. Yeah, Prabhu, over to you.
Thank you, Mataji. So, as Mataji mentioned, we have a wonderful festival, this Nityananda Triyodasi. So, temple has asked us for the different services on Nityananda Triyodasi, and also one day before that as well. So, I have published the list in one of the group, and please nominate yourself if you are available for any services. It may be the kitchen service, cleaning service, it may be shoe rack service, it may be guest greeting service, because that day it will be too much busy in the service. They need some volunteers to manage the queue and everything. So different kind of services are there, but it is working day also. So but they suggested that at least even devotee can come up couple of hours, 2-3 hours, and then they can go, and then again some devotee can come in the evening, so like that. So please let me know if anyone wants to do the service in temple on that day. And also one day before evening, they have asked for the vegetable chopping and other service on the Thursday evening. So these are the two important services we have. And other than that, we have, as I mentioned last time also, we have Gita Gyan promotion. So 15th of February, we are starting Gita Gyan. So far, I think roughly 130 to 135 participants have registered for this, but we are expecting at least minimum 300, so that we can form at least 10-15 batches. So we request you again to promote this in the outer group. This is not for East London BV devotees, just it is for expanding our congregation, getting new souls into our contact by a very first level of the Gita Gyan, which is the first stage where we ask them to join and understand the crux of these 18 chapters. So this is all announcement, Mataji, for this week.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. And Ranjini, my Prabhu, scrolls.
Yeah, Mataji, I updated in the slide. If you go ahead.
Yeah. Yes.
No, I think I didn't save, Mataji. If you just save it, I think it is not reflecting. I updated it this side. Maybe like we need to refresh or something.
Yeah, Prabhu, just a moment.
Yes, Mataji, we can see now the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, Prabhu. So the first, yeah, you go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So we have got two winners this time. So first is like Anuradha Chutupriya Mataji and Ram Priya Prabhu, Hari Bol. Second position is Bhaskar Prabhu, Hari Bol. And third, this time new devotee has come, Charu Gupta Prabhu, Hari Bol. Thank you so much, devotees, for their participation.
Just one update, it is Charu Mataji, not Prabhuji.
Okay.
Sorry for that.
Sorry for that, Prabhu.
Okay, brilliant. Charu Mataji. Okay, shall we say 3 big Hari Bols to all these devotees? Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari
Bol. Hari
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Wonderful. Very nice. Devotees are, very keenly hearing about Mahaprabhu's pastimes. That is very pleasing to him. And we can develop that. One of the objective is that by hearing about the personalities again and again, we develop that, attraction. They say that we need to develop attraction, affection, and attachment for the Lord. And that comes by hearing from the Lord, hearing about the Lord. Yeah. I can see Anuradha Mataji raise hands.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Mataji, today is Devika and Dishika's birthday, so seeking all the Vaishnavas' blessings for their spiritual advancement, Mataji.
Chai, wonderful. Hari Hari Bol. Devika and Dishika, can we see you? Hari Bol. Very sweet. Hare Krishna, happy Krishna conscious birthday to both of you. And so shall we all chant 3 times Hare Krishna mantra for the well-being of Devika and Dishika and for their spiritual progress? Yes. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Yeah, wonderful. They both are doing a lot of service and they are very inspiring, for all of our community. They do, and their parents are also wonderful devotees, Anuradha Mataji and Rasaraj Nashima Prabhu. So very thankful to the entire family for all their wonderful devotional service. We pray to the Lord to bless more and more. And I hope you had a wonderful day today, Devika and Dishika. You cut the cake already?
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. We'll just sing for them because they already cut the cake. We'll sing for them and we'll show Jagannath Darshan and we'll end the session. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. May Krishna
Bless you, dear.
May Krishna bless
you.
May Krishna bless you, dear devotee.
Hare Krishna to you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram.
Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram.
Ram, Hare
Ram,
Ram, Ram, Hare
Hare
Happy Krishna conscious birthday again. Many more birthdays to come to dear Devika and Shika. Hari Bol. You're happy? Hari Bol. Okay, so Charu Mataji, you have raised your hand. Hare Krishna.
Mataji has put the question in the group like, can we have Nityanand Prabhu pastime also in chat box, Mataji?
When?
She's on
When?
Mataji on mute, yeah.
Oh, very sweet. When you want the pastime, Mataji?
Before Nityanand Trayodashi.
That's a
If
good
you
point.
ask me, then I want daily.
Actually, normally we do like that, but what happened is that we are not covering our subject, so we are we dedicated today for our normal, in the sense our regular class. But Friday, I'm not sure. I will check that out if there is any possibility.
So like instead of like every Wednesday we have Bhagavad Gita class. So instead of Bhagavad Gita class, if we can have this time.
Yeah. That in locally, I mean, each circles can plan that. That's what we do. If auspicious day falls on a Bhakti Vriksha day or on a study class day, then that can be devoted. They can do on the pastimes of the Lord and glories of the Lord. Then it will be very wonderful meditation for devotees. So thank you so much, Mataji, for bringing that. We can do that. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, Hare Krishna, and we will see next week. Hari Bol. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare.
Mataji. Thank you so much.
Darshan, quick Darshan.
Darshan, Mataji.
Yes, already Jagannath not went to rest. He's already in his night dress. I'll just quickly show the Darshan. Next time we will. Just give me a minute. Can you see? Hare Krishna.
Jai Jagannath.
Jai
So
Jagannath.
Darshan, a little more early, so Jagannath will not be in the night dress. He'll be in his day dress. So yes, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki jai.
Jai.
Jai ki jai. Hari Bol. Okay, thank you, devotees. We will see you next week. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.